Okay, good morning, everyone, and happy Memorial Day weekend. It's Friday, May 23rd. I'm Larimer County Commissioner Joey Shai McNally, Chair of the Legislative Committee. I call this meeting to order, and we're going to do roll call for quorum. And Roberta, are you going to do that for us today? Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Samantha Albert.
Present. Good to see you all.
Katie McGrath Novak. Pat Dorsey, she told me she wouldn't be able to make it. Christina Burry.
Morning.
Commissioner Shattuck McNally.
Present.
Mark Morgan.
Present.
Julie Stencil. Commissioner Medina.
Good morning.
And Allison Lurch.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, and thank you all for being here and right before a holiday weekend. And it's great to be back and in the groove with you all. So appreciate you all being here. We might have a quicker meeting than we thought because our updates are pretty brief today. But first, we need to go and approve the minutes from April 18th, 2024. Did anyone see any changes or additions or corrections that needed to be made? Then I welcome a motion.
I so move to approve the meeting minutes.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Anybody opposed? Okay, let's move on to the next agenda item. Thank you all. So we're just going to do a quick debrief on the Colorado Forest Health Council meeting that we just had and the legislative session from 2025, and then just current federal and state updates on the current. I think we're just going to talk a little bit about the Fix for Forest Act, if there's any updates, but we'll go ahead and start with, anybody have any thoughts or debrief or comments you want to make about the Full Forest Health Council? I thought it was a great discussion, even though I had to briefly step out because we were doing we had about 150 people in that room, and we were doing this massive real life in time emergency management exercise, and we had a massive wildfire, and we're evacuating probably about 94,000 structures in two major municipalities. So it was a little intense there for a little bit. Welcome, Katie. So I had to kind of pay attention for a little bit because they were asking me policy questions. So with that, anybody have any other comments? How do you feel about approving the 30-year plan? I think it's pretty excited that we got that done. So any insights, comments? Allison?
Yeah, I thought that was really just a great step in all the work that we've been doing as a council. And I just wanted to give a brief update because we had a discussion about the Forest Resilience Planning Guide during our quarterly meeting and putting out a press release and, continuing to share that resource since it's alive, right? And so I just wanted to update you all that Courtney and I are working with Christina and her team, as well as our comms, our comms team, to develop a press release and hopefully get something out here in June to continue to share that great resource.
And it's an amazing resource, and I appreciate all the work and dedication. I think this will be really helpful, and it would be interesting to track who checks on it and grabs it and asks questions, like from around the state. I'm wondering if there's any way to do that. Just kind of curious who kind of ends up, looking at it and kind of engaging with it. It might be interesting for the council to know that. I don't know if anyone's thought about tracking that.
Yeah, I think our comms folks, since it's on our website, I do think they run some analytics on number of views. I don't know if they can get specific on like locations and things, but I'm certainly able to share, the analytics that they put together on our normal websites. They do that on an annual basis, so I can share that.
That'd be great. And Christina, you and I still have to find a time to get together and plan for the fall or for the education session. So now that I'm kind of almost slowed down for a few weeks, I'll be ready to get more things on my schedule. Anybody else have any comments about the meeting? really feel bad I had to miss the tours. They sound like they were amazing. So, Katie.
Yeah, I second everything you guys said. I'm very excited about the Forest Resilience Planning Guide and such. I was wondering if there's a plan to do press releases around the prescribed fire strategy. I don't know if that's really our jurisdiction as much as like the fire commission, but I think that's another one that would be really awesome to spread the word about.
I believe that's going to be the Fire Commission and DFPC, right? Because actually was at an event with them. It's Emergency Medical Services Week, and I was with a few of them yesterday at an event, and we were talking about that. And so I think that they're kind of leading that, and then we could just maybe repost after whenever they're ready. We have a meeting on next week, I believe, or the week after, a subcommittee meeting. So.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, you're right. We can bring it up then.
So, great. Well, how about, so no other comments, another great meeting. And that's because of all these great people like you that are attending and bringing some good conversation, and the staff doing some amazing work. So I really appreciate that. So we'll move on to kind of a state update. I know James maybe could not be here today. He was kind of really iffy, so he couldn't. So Allison, would you like to provide any update? And then I have just we've been meeting as county commissioners, and I have some not so fun news from what I learned yesterday, but go ahead, Allison.
Okay, I'm just going to do a really brief end of legislative session update on what happened, what bills actually passed. I'll be very brief because we did a wonderful presentation last week with DNR, and so I'm just going to share my notes that I shared then. So 4 forestry bills and wildfire bills passed that we were tracking. 1 bill passed that we supported as a council. That was Senate Bill 25-007. That was the increased prescribed burns bill. So that did pass. If you remember from the beginning, it was an ask of $1 million to put into a prescribed fire claims fund. That did not happen at that level, but in the last few moments, $250,000 was established into the prescribed fire claims fund, which I think is a huge accomplishment since it was such a tight year for funding. This bill also expands the definition of a certified burner, meaning that an individual who has not completed the Colorado DFPC training can also, there are other ways for certification programs to happen to really increase the workforce to be able to put fire on the ground. There's also some coordination with DFPC and Colorado State Forest Service on this one. So I would say that was a huge success. And, you know, unfortunately, as I believe we all know, if not yet, 1078, which was our bill that, was partially developed by us, which was the Forestry and Wildfire Workforce Bill. That one did not pass, but that was something, that I know is near and dear to our hearts, and hopefully we can continue showing that priority as the years to come. 3 other quick bills, Senate Bill 25-015, which was the Wildfire Information and Resource Center website, that did pass. That bill asks Division of Fire Prevention and Control to sort of bolster their wildfire information website with links to county information, more specific regional wildfire information. So it's really based on coordination between DFPC and counties, and then adding hyperlinks to their website. That one passed last. Second to last is Senate Bill 25-142, which is the changes to the Wildfire Resiliency Code Board. That passed with a lot of, but not nearly what it looked like at the beginning. But that requires a governing body like a city, town, or city and county with jurisdiction within the wild and urban interface to that within 9 months of the Wildfire Resiliency Code Board adopting the wildfire code, to then adopt wildfire codes that either meet or exceed the standards of this statewide code. The bill extended the timeline. It was 3 months from before to 9 months. And then it also allows a local government to cooperate, to go into cooperative agreements with another entity like a third-party contractor or another governing body to enforce the wildfire codes. One last bill that did pass was House Bill 25-1009, which was the vegetative fuel mitigation bill. This bill allows a fire protection district or a metropolitan district to create a program to mitigate hazardous fuels around homes of dead and dry plant material. Some of the changes that happened in this code was that the definite, I'm trying to look in my notes here. I don't know why they're not popping up, but one part of this is that the definition of where these types of programs can go or not go. And so it's private property, but I believe that there is that agricultural land is not included in this bill. So it's really private property focused that way. And then these fire protection districts can assess a fine after many warnings or initiations of trying to get the private property owner to do the work themselves. So they can initiate a fine. The money that they collect can go then back to that fire protection district or other district, and they can use that money to mitigate fuels on properties of let's see, it says on properties of people that cannot do that themselves, maybe of lower income, maybe they're of a higher age than normal. So I think a good bill overall. But those were the 4 bills that we highlighted that did pass this session.
Great. And I just want to add that Senate Bill 142 was something that a lot of counties pushed for, some of that extension, because a lot of smaller counties were really worried about how they were going to implement all of that. And so getting the 9 months was a big success for us. We really advocated on that. Anybody have any questions? And Allison, I had a question. Can you, I was following that when you just talked about the fire districts and metropolitan districts, metro districts, they can use part of their funding that they get from the taxes that they collect to do this mitigation. Was there a limit on how much they could, or what's the accountability or transparency on that fund? Because I know some folks would want to know how much are they using and why, and et cetera.
Absolutely. Yeah, the fine cannot exceed $300 per property per incident. So that's the limit, and it can be within, $100 to $300 essentially.
Great. I appreciate that update. Anybody else have any questions? And disappointed about 1078, especially since it was such a extreme strike below that came out of appropriations. I think we were all caught off guard with that. So, but we already put that on the list for 2026, as you all know. So we'll just keep trying. Okay. Well, I just wanted to share, we've been meeting and debriefing already with other associations and things that I'm associated with as county commissioners and other organizations. And as I understand the governor's bill, the governor's staff is already working on the next year's budget and already having conversations. And some of those conversations sound like it's going to be probably even a little more of a tight year, and probably not a lot of glimmers of hope for any kind of funding. That's why that $250,000 was quite the ray of hope there. So, so I just wanted to share with everybody, we can still I still think we should put forward what we think we need and our values, and they say no, but not to ask, they'll think that we don't need it. And so workforce is still a need. So that's how I feel. But I just wanted to let you know, I've heard multiple meetings this week since I got back, that it's not looking too rosy for the budget. So that's mostly what we've heard, and kind of already a lot of groups are starting their advocacy work and conversations and looking at strategies and legislation. And I'm already working on something separate from the Forest Health Council, but on a different topic. But it's people are already looking to get in there and start talking earlier. So things are starting to already, no rest, I guess, for those legislators, because they're going to be getting lots of conversation. So that's kind of what we've been talking about, and we're already engaging as well. So I have meetings next week with a lot of legislators, one-on-one, who some have reached out to me and some I've reached out. And so I just wanted to kind of let you all know it's already game on. So from what I hear. So I don't know, Allison, but you guys are probably already starting to talk budget too. So.
Yep, that resonates with us too.
Mr. Morgan.
On the legislative issues, I assume you're all aware that on Senate Bill 5 from 2 years ago, where we obtained funding for the 2-year program for the junior colleges and for the internships, well, the state has asked for any unspent money back, and that money was half of it. It was going to be over a 2-year period. That takes away the funding for the positions at one for Front Range and one for Pueblo, and it essentially undoes everything that we worked for. And I'm pretty frustrated with that. And I think that we need to get fairly aggressive, because everybody's running around looking for places to save money. And the rats are jumping off the ship here right now, but that was our signature achievement. I kind of asked, what are we doing here? If we go through the process, do the work, and then halfway through, you can't offer a position, educational position. It was hard enough to get quality people by offering a 2-year position. Any suggestions?
I didn't know that, so appreciate you bringing that up. Allison, do you know something about that?
I've been working with James on this. Mark I know that Mark, you had contacted James, and then we worked with our team to reinterpret the bill and, really look at those provisions. And, unfortunately right now, I can't, besides, like you're saying, Mark, though, having a voice and expressing that, what this pullback, that's what the bill does say, is after 2 years that anything goes back to the general fund, that we're really tied to that. And so it is very upsetting.
They're okay with the 2 years. They didn't even get that because they didn't fund the bill. So they got the first year of the position of a 2 years position, and now they're trying to take the funding back. And that's not what the bill says. So I kind of think my attitude on this is we're in for a shin kicking match, and I'm not going to go down easy on this, because I don't believe legally. Samantha, you're smiling here. I just feel like both Pueblo and Front Range operated, and also the State Forest Service, under the confines of the bill that was passed. And I can't see how the state the state educational people are the ones asking for the funding back, any unused money. But the money was projected in the deal to be used over a 2-year span. So I would ask for your support here, because I feel like if we can't get that done and we can't keep it done, I don't know what we're doing here.
Well, any more conversations that we need to have, Mark, I would just reach back out to James if you can, and myself, so we can continue this and not let it die. I definitely support you in this. The initial request from that we just worked through was a bill interpretation, but if we can get some more details and we can help support this, and maybe if James already has that information, Mark, I can tap in with him we have a meeting later today.
I talked to James and he basically told me that he didn't feel there was anything he could do.
Okay.
And so, I would like to reach out to the sponsors of this, that sponsored it through this. I mean, I just don't think, I think there's a legal question in the first place because of, as to the wording of the funding. And I also think there is some wiggle room with State Department of the state educational people. And these kind of things usually, success goes to those, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, I guess is what I'm saying here. They're looking for any money they can get. And I don't want them to get this money easy because I think workforce development to me is so critical to everything that we're trying to do here that if we can't get that done, nothing else that we propose is going to get implemented. And the work isn't going to get done, doesn't matter what agency. And so I would ask, I didn't know how many of you were aware of this. I tried to, I reached out to Commissioner Medina and trying to talk to some people. I haven't had a chance to speak to Senator Cutter yet, but I left a message there. But I think I know this is an item of mine and a passion of mine, but I think it speaks to overall what we're trying to do on so many fronts. And for example, I read through your Larimer County biomass assessment again. All right. Well, a reoccurring theme in there in almost every entity that they contacted, city, state, private, federal, was inavailability of workforce. I think it came up 15, 20 times in that report. I guess that's why I feel it's so important.
Thank you, Mark. And I think you did reach out to me, but I didn't take any of my phones or work computer or anything. I completely unplugged for 6 days. So I'm still catching up with the mountain of emails and calls. So I'll give you a call. And I wasn't aware of this, but certainly I support you in making sure we lifted every rock and stone and uncovered every opportunity. So whatever I can do to help and see what we can push on. So Samantha.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. I was laughing at your use of the term shin kicking, so appreciate your candor there. But one thing I just want to acknowledge is on the OEDIT economic development side, we've got a new talent innovation office that we've added staff to, and I know they're focused on the workforce side and complement to a lot of other state agencies. So I'm happy to maybe schedule some time with that team to see if there's any opportunity. I know they had the Opportunity Now grant program that's since closed, but there's tax credits. There's a lot of other things that are getting up and running. So perhaps we could add that to a list of something to pursue when we're looking at speakers.
Okay.
I think that's a great suggestion, Allison.
Sorry, Commissioner, and I'm very sorry if you hear, I'm not sorry if you hear violin in the background, but there's some music going on in the background. Mark, is there, I was thinking, this is one other thought I had when I was talking with James about this, but is the unspent money under contract in any way? Or is it, sitting in, do you know what I'm saying? Is it encumbered or is it sitting there?
It was there were several items, but the big item was the 2-year positions at both schools that they get there. If they can fund their positions, I think there's some negotiation available here. Some of it's already spent, but the biggie is the second year. You can't, the attempt here was to get the first 2 years funding for each position with Pueblo, and they had an up here, and then try to build on that program through the state educational. And so you can't offer people a 2-year position and then say you get one year. And that's what's being done right now. They're saying the money comes back, eliminates the positions where there's actually 3 positions there. There was also a coordinator for wildfire. And that's, I mean, like, if you were offered a 2-year position and then somebody said, sorry, you get 9 months worth, that's kind of a tough go to build a program with at an educational institution.
So it sounds like it's encumbered. So possibly if there was a contract or employment contract. So if it was encumbered, I'm wondering if that gives another leverage point. So, because then it wouldn't be able, I'm not sure what that looks like, but certainly it sounds like there might be something to press on. So, and maybe Samantha can also look at what she might have. So
I'm not an attorney, but I know what's right and wrong here, and it's pretty clear cut. So, thank you.
So, Commissioner Medina.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Mark reached out to me some time ago, and I did reach out to Pueblo College to find out exactly that, if that money was encumbered and what they were doing. I had left a message, and my apologies, I did not follow up with them because they have not called me back. So I just sent them a text message, my contact. So when I hear something back as well, I will share that with the group.
So Allison, does it sound like a good plan? Are you open that people can maybe gather information and contact you? Because we really should, I'm not sure we can be talking to each other because it is kind of Forest Health Council thing. So should they go ahead and just for open meeting stuff to be calling you and relaying information?
I think that sounds good. Mhm.
Okay.
Or
So
and you
can you
can
find out,
Courtney on that too, if you want.
Courtney and Allison, let's coordinate through them, and so we can be very careful about not
I believe
crossing any lanes.
I believe that everybody I reached out to, I was very specific that this was not from the Forest Health Council, and that this was as a private. I was very specific about that. These requests were as a private individual, as a timber operator, and as Colorado Timber Industry Association member and IFA member. And I realize that we've got a legal bar to tread there, but I think I was pretty careful.
Oh, I'm sure you were. I'm just trying to think going forward, just to be careful. We'll extra careful. We'll go through Allison, but I appreciate you bringing this up, Mark. I had no idea, and definitely we don't want this to be unwound as we just got it rolling. So Allison, I see your hands up.
I just want to echo what Mark said. I was just been chatting with Daphne here really quick. You know, it's fair game for you all to reach out to folks as the individuals that you are in the positions you are outside of the Forest Health Council, right? And so, yeah, that can work. And then if we are having discussions internally, then you know I can facilitate those discussions when it comes to committee.
That's why.
Great.
That's why I waited to bring it up here today.
Thank you. Great job, Mr. Morgan. It's really good conversation, and certainly we want to not lose sight of the work that we've done and make sure that it's still rolling along with how we hoped. So I appreciate you bringing this up. All right, any other updates? I just wanted to share, I have been engaged with some commissioners as we've been talking with Senator Hickenlooper's office and Senator Bennett's office on Fix Our Forests Act, just trying to see if some of the concerns as commissioners have, but there's a lot of great things in that bill. And so I'm sure we're still developing some ideas and talks about how federal policy and how we engage with that. So I'm sure that will come up at a meeting coming forward as we work on those guidelines and what that looks like. So that process. All right, sorry, my clock's going off. So let's move on to our next agenda item. Yeah. None of us had heard it, Julie, so we appreciate Mr. Morgan being so helping us navigate that. Let's look at now our draft 2026 legislative calendar review. And I'm thinking I have that, but Allison, did you want to share it on the screen? Do you want me to?
I can share it on the screen.
Thank you. Okay, so we're here and we're a month or a couple weeks away, well, not that long away from June. And we have our next meeting on the 13th and the June meeting. So just for everyone to be looking at. I'm curious, we don't really have any speakers. We might spend those 2 days just looking at bringing some topics and speakers. Would that be a great assumption to assume? And then also just still kind of tweaking on what else we hear. Maybe we can follow up on the Senate Bill 5 on the 13th and find out what kind of update on that. So those first 2 dates, I figure we're going to be looking at topics and maybe we'll have more of a budget idea. And we probably will be, I'm assuming, advocating and putting in to keep our funding for furworm and co-swap and things like that. So that might be one of those topics. So in July, we have those 2 dates, and it'd be great to start putting in some speakers. And Allison, if we leave, I just wanted to ask, I'm really curious about that presentation we had last year. It was so good with the watersheds. I don't know what date that was. And it was the White River National Forest group that presented and showed, you everybody remember those two the wilderness rangers who put out 30 fires, was it? Unattended fires? I'm trying to remember who did that presentation. If we remember the date, I'd love to go back and get those notes. But so Allison, you had your hand raised, but people have been asking and talking about that, and it's making an impression. So I want to try to find that presentation to send it to some folks. But Allison, you had your hand raised.
We'll find that and we can send it to you after this, so you have it. I just heard, so something that you might have seen that I just added live to the calendar is that the Wildfire Matters Review Committee now has their 2 first dates scheduled to meet. Their date in June is June 12th. That's a Thursday. Daphne believes that we probably wouldn't be presenting on that day because it's their kickoff meeting, although that's not, that's not set in stone yet. So I'm temporarily putting on this July calendar, July 15th, for our annual Forest Health Council presentation.
So we kind of we already have our 2026 recommendations, so we would just need to start to plan to present those. Is that correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We can kind of backwards plan for that. We, like last year was August, so probably we should think this should probably be August, probably.
Yeah. I mean, that's what's hard, right? It might be July, it might be August. So I just wanted to put that on there too. I also wanted to, Courtney and I had met and to really think about the coming months, and the calendar that we have set forth actually allows a little bit of leeway to maybe take a couple weeks off if you all wanted to take a mini summer break. And, thinking of the potential that maybe it's July, I bet I will be like DNR will be presenting most likely at the Wildfire Matters in July, and others, but that we could take off June if we wanted. I'm just presenting this because we have it down that we would start presentations in August. And so just to scooch forward, because last year, we had a DNR presentation on one day and a Colorado State Forest Service on another. And Courtney and I thought we could really consolidate that to one presentation, but make it not necessarily one of the 6 potential presentations to hear from other folks. And so I just wanted to ask and put that out there for you all. I know summers can be busy, and so I just wasn't sure if maybe we can still, of course, keep meeting every 2 weeks. You're supported, DNR admin supports this, and we can continue to do that, but just wanted to ask if you might want to take off a couple weeks.
So that's a great suggestion. Would people prefer July or prefer June? And we could, if we, and I'll see your hand, Mr. Morgan, saying we could, as people thinking about topics, since we're going to be talking about, topics, we could just put a list, a Google Drive list that people could access and throw up their ideas for presentations over that month as they were thinking. Then we could just do something like that. Would that be allowed if we put up a link, or is that kind of, we could, how we would document that we're doing that, or send ideas to you or Courtney, maybe we would do it that way. But just a thought. Mr. Morgan.
Nothing important at all, other than the fact that if we're talking about not having a meeting for a couple of different slots, the June ones would be easier for me to give up than the others, but you've got to make it all fit with everybody else's schedule, and I fully understand that. And I believe that I will probably be gone June 13th, irregardless. So.
So Samantha says June works for her well too. Can I get everyone else kind of to chime in? Either one works well for me.
Yeah, either works for me.
July, I was going to be in Philadelphia for the National Association of Counties. So I was just going to do the meeting remotely. So June is, which I can do that remotely. I'm going to be in
I
my,
will be in
Yeah.
Philadelphia. I'll be attending in person.
you'll be out June 27th. So sounds like June. So I see a majority, it sounds like a majority. So should we go ahead and, do we need a vote on that, Allison, or is that just something we can decide?
I believe it's something we can decide.
Okay, cool. So we'll just go ahead and give everyone a break in June, and we'll come back on July 13th.
Or July 11th.
Oh, July 11th. Thank you. Yep.
I won't be able to attend that meeting because I will be in NACO. So
I'll be attending a fire ribbon cutting and then jumping on a plane and arriving NACO a little later than I planned, but it's a wellness center for firefighters. It's already saved 2 lives, found cancer in young firemen, and saved 2 lives because they found cancer early. So I'll be there for that first. So we'll be back on the 11th and the 25th. Does that sound, or does everyone want to take July 11th off as well and wait till after the Wildfire Review Committee? It sounds like a lot of you are out. What do you think? Should we take 3 meetings? We haven't done that in years.
That would be fine with me because I have a major event on that weekend, but I don't want to prejudice this deal.
I would say yes,
Well-
skip the 11th.
Okay, what do you think? Is there anyone who doesn't want to do that? Some people are going to mention the 25th. We can keep the 11th.
It looks like July is people are going to be out as well. If it's not on the 11th, it's going to be on the 25th.
Right. Well, let's do
May
the 11th. Go ahead, because we need a quorum. So, and if people aren't going to be here and be a lot less, then it doesn't seem to be, it's probably not good to have presentations or discussions without most of the people here. So if it sounds like we have 1 or 2, and I'm not sure what Pat is, so vote to keep the 7-11. Should we keep the 7-11 then and see how that works? Even if it's a short meeting. Okay. All right. So we'll just
Well,
keep.
it sounded like that Mr. Morgan, myself, and you, Jody, would not be available on the 11th.
Well, I can make that work. I'm just not sure when the ribbon cutting is, and then I'm jumping on the plane right after the ribbon cutting. So that would be in the morning, and then I'm leaving after that because it's just the CI. It's just the information technology portion on Friday for NACO, and so I'm not coming until that evening. And then I have the Rural Action Caucus and all that, August family leave roughly from August to December. So, okay. All right. Thanks,
And-
Katie. So we
and-
know what's on the calendar too. Allison.
Commissioner, I'm looking through some past emails with our Attorney General's office right now about open meeting law and developing a spreadsheet. I know we can develop an internal spreadsheet for planning purposes because we were starting to work with them about the legislative breakfast that way. And,
Yeah.
so Julie, you're funny. But just give me a few. I'm gonna just double check to see if we're allowed to convene a spreadsheet.
I think long as we're not having a conversation, but just doing planning purposes for ideas on the list, we're not making an actual decision or having conversations. I think it's okay, right? But I could be wrong. We should double, triple check because, because I can tell you with all the different groups that I sit on from municipal boards all the way up to the county, and this one definitely I feel is the most stringent, which is great because I much rather be more stringent and careful than some of the other ones who are a little more lax. So
I'll gather that information.
great. Okay. So, so looking at that calendar, can we go to way up into August and September? I'm just wondering when I'm trying to work backwards. We have a council meeting on the 13th. And that'll be virtual, right? Not in person. And so, and we have those presentations, and then September, we'll have 2 more presentations. And so a total of 6. So we need to deliberations again. Do we have deliberations? I'm trying to look for when that deliberation is so we can know when there we go, November.
And
Allison.
we also had one other suggestion, which was some of the presentations that we saw last year are so impactful. We had that time, where we heard the presentation, and then we also were able to have some discussion with the presenters afterwards. But Courtney and I thought that if schedules allowed for our presentation days, if we could extend meetings for 15 to 30 minutes after, so that we can also do sort of a spot on brief deliberation as a team that way to keep things fresh on our mind in addition to the deliberation meeting. So I don't know if we have to make that decision at this moment, because presentations aren't for a few months, but I did want to plant that seed.
I think that's a great seed to plant. So how about everybody look at this calendar? I think we can send this calendar. Do we need a vote to approve this calendar?
I think we can vote to approve the calendar, yes.
Okay. And then have everyone think about which on the presentation days, if you would be open to, we could extend it to an hour and 30 minutes, but always we could strive not to try to fill it all the way up to an hour and 30 minutes. So we could try to still, and early bit, this is enough timing for you all to kind of have enough time to plan ahead for your schedules. So with this calendar, looking at this, I would look for a motion to approve the calendar as presented up through, because I believe December would have one more follow-up, right? And so then we would have a break. So approve the calendar through December of 2025 for actually in January. Yep. So through January of 2026. So I would look for a motion to approve the calendar as discussed through January 2026. Julie.
I'd make the motion to approve the calendar as presented through January of 2026.
And can you add that caveat that we want to extend the 6 presentation days to an hour and 30 minutes, just those?
Yes, I would still amend the motion.
Great. Is there a second?
Fine,
Second.
my job.
Cool. That's your job. Yep. All right. Any further discussion? All righty. All those in favor to approve the calendar with the 6 presentation days moved to an hour and a half or 90 minutes, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Anyone want to abstain? Okay, great. We are approved and moving forward on that. I'm just looking at the time, trying to keep us going. And so just a quick update on the education event. We do know now the day in the fall when we can jump in the calendar and try to grab one of those days. And so we're preparing for that. Many of you have said you graciously would probably sponsor the food and things. So we'll kind of fine tune. And then Christine and I are still working on meeting together to bring some educational pieces together. And we'll have that ready probably in the late summer. I would believe Christine and I can just drive up and hang out and we can do that. So that's the only update is we now know a little more when we need to jump on that calendar, and it sounds like it's starting to come together, and hopefully it'd be great to have a little more on paper to share with the council on the August 13th date, but we'll see how that looks. So we have a meeting before that, so maybe we can share maybe a little more idea. Anyway, that's the update, really short and sweet on that. And Courtney's monitoring that very closely. So the next steps was just kind of talking about the budget discussion. I kind of shared that already. Allison, do you have any other? I know we're talking budget with the county, and we're looking at efficiency. Well, we already been doing efficiency the last 2 years, but even at the federal, state, and level. But let's talk about the state budget.
Yeah, I echo what you said this morning. You know, I know that we came into this legislative session with really a tight budget, and we saw bills that were moving through the system, right, and moving through. But once it came to that, going to address the fiscal portion of the bill, they really they sat for a long time, right, until the very end, until they were really trying to see where to put the money. And so we need to expect a similar or possibly worse situation in the coming year. But as you did mention, it does not mean that we cannot put forth recommendations that have a fiscal note. We just have to be understanding of what's going on there. The other recommendation that we have for the budget for next year is between all of us, if we can, in this committee, we can identify funding sources outside of the general fund that might be able to support the needs or the recommendations. That's going to be highly recommended. And then, I can't speak too much to this, but just that some bills that had a high fiscal ask, we transitioned to a provision that they could get gifts, grants, and donations in those. And I think the recommendation coming from my staff is that we instead of do gifts, grants, and donations, that we look for funding source, like other creative funding sources, instead of that general provision there. That's all I have update right now, but we'll see how it goes.
Great update, and I agree with you. I think we have a little more time now and runway to kind of look for underfunding sources to maybe seed money to get things rolling, because maybe in years coming there'll be other opportunities to keep things rolling. And maybe we need to look at Senate Bill 5 and look at fortifying that going forward. So if we get some more information. So thank you for that update. And now we'll look at the last agenda item was just we kind of topics for next cycles, planning for speakers or topics, and where you've heard about the budget discussions and topics. We have a lot of still uncertainty, so I think it's something we might just continually bring up at every meeting, is talking about federal and state budgets and how this is impacting lots of things. I'm curious about anybody have a burning desire right now for any topics? Allison.
Something that we've discussed at a committee. So one of our statutory duties is to dive into public-private partnerships and other things like that. I'm sorry, don't have the statute in front of me right now, and I would like to bring forth a working group called the Wildfire Watershed Investments for a Resilient Colorado. It's a group that has been working together to explore and deepen into just that. And so I was hoping that we can bring that group to do a presentation sometime in August or one of the later times.
That's great. And we're kind of thinking alike here. I was also been involved with a public-private partnership where I've been volunteering planting trees for the last 3 out of 4 years on private lands with volunteers in a nonprofit, and they planted over 40,000 trees in 4 years with a 78% survival rate. So they're actually doing research and following this. I think, Christine, you know what I'm talking about. And so I think that might be interesting to look at that partnership since it is on private lands and how that is working. So, because that's all, as we know, these are all intermixed with all these landscapes. So that kind of follows that successful partnership and how they're getting funded and how the landowners are also investing to have those folks come on. It's certainly a little dicey on a steep slope, planting trees with charred trees blowing in the wind, and you're wondering if they're going to come down on you, but it's been quite meaningful for me. So, Mr. Morgan, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Welcome
You'd
to
be
our
proud of
world
me.
every day.
And every time I see a lodge pole pine, little seedling popping up, I hear your voice in my mind. And so just wanted to tell you made quite the impact with me on that. So anyway, so those are ones I was thinking about, Allison, but I think those are great and I can reach out, or you guys can reach out with that group if we're interested in that. Any other burning desires? Katie?
Yeah, I think it would be nice to have meetings, probably 2 separate meetings. One could be something around alignment with the Fire Commission and the prescribed fire strategy. And then one could be alignment with the Leveraging Resources Committee, just to make sure that all of these moving parts are working together. I think it could be cool to do a couple of like crossover meetings.
Certainly, we can look at that. And I'm not sure if the Fire Commission would like to maybe do a crossover just in general with the whole Forest Health Council. That might be a bigger, maybe something to suggest for the full commission having a crossover with the full Forest Health Council. That might be a good place to start. But good suggestion. Any other ones? Otherwise, we're getting close to the end here. Okay, so I just want to thank you all for your service today. Christina and I are going to meet, but we just need to let you or Courtney know so we can, since we'll be meeting and planning some of the educational pieces, we just need to let you know so you can post it, correct, Allison? Okay.
That's correct.
Great.
Sorry, my internet's a little slow, but that's correct.
Okay. Well, any other comments or shares for the group? If not, let's get back to your Friday and start your holiday weekend. And I hope you all are doing something fun and getting outside. Enjoy the concert and the music, Allison. And thank you, Roberta, for taking notes and minutes. And everyone have a great weekend. And I look forward to seeing you July 11th. We'll get the agenda out. And thank you all and have a wonderful, wonderful June. Enjoy. And I wish you all the best. Thank you for doing all this and being so diligent with our group. Take care.
Thank you.
Oh, I just guess we need a meeting to adjourn, but all right, we're adjourned.
I'd
Who
move
made the
to
motion?
adjourn.
Mr. Morgan, second.
Good job.
All those in favor? We're adjourned.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we're adjourned.
We're
Did you
official.
get that, Roberta? Jillian motion, Jillian, okay, we got it. All right, thank you all. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.